In the eerie stillness of the suburban night, where the moon's feeble light struggled to penetrate the dense canopy of trees, our story unfolds. It was a night ripe with the promise of mischief, as a group of teenagers, buoyed by the thrill of rebellion, embarked on a daring escapade. Their destination? The old McAllister mansion, an imposing relic of a bygone era, shrouded in mystery and rumor. Legend had it that the mansion was cursed, its halls haunted by the restless spirits of those who had met untimely ends within its walls. Undeterred by the warnings of superstitious townsfolk, the teenagers approached the mansion with a mixture of trepidation and excitement, their footsteps muffled by the thick blanket of fallen leaves that carpeted the overgrown lawn. As they crossed the threshold into the darkness of the mansion's interior, a chill wind seemed to sweep through the air, carrying with it the faint echo of distant whispers. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation, each creak of the floorboards and rustle of the curtains sending shivers down their spines. But it wasn't long before their sense of adventure gave way to sheer terror, as they found themselves ensnared in a deadly game of cat and mouse with an unseen adversary. One by one, the teenagers were picked off, their screams drowned out by the howling wind and the cackling laughter of their tormentor. Some met their end at the hands of fiendish traps hidden within the mansion's labyrinthine corridors, while others simply vanished without a trace, leaving behind only a lingering sense of dread. As the night wore on, and the body count continued to rise, those who remained were forced to confront the grim reality of their situation. Trapped within the confines of the mansion, with no means of escape and no hope of rescue, they were at the mercy of forces beyond their comprehension. And as dawn broke on the horizon, casting its feeble light upon the desolate mansion, the sole survivor emerged from the darkness, a shell of their former self, haunted by the horrors they had witnessed and the lives they had lost. For in the heart of the McAllister mansion, where the line between the living and the dead blurred into nothingness, the true meaning of fear was laid bare, a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurks within us all, waiting to be unleashed upon the unsuspecting souls who dare to trespass into its domain. In the desolate countryside where the moon cast an ethereal glow upon the rolling fields, our tale takes root. It was a night devoid of stars, where the shadows danced in a macabre waltz and the wind whispered secrets of long-forgotten horrors. A solitary farmhouse stood amidst the darkness, a relic of a time long past, its weathered timbers groaning in protest as they bore the weight of years of neglect. Within its crumbling walls, a family had once lived, their laughter and love now but distant echoes in the night. But on this particular evening, the farmhouse was anything but empty, for within its shadowy confines, a lone figure lurked, a specter of malevolence whose hunger knew no bounds. As the clock struck midnight signaling the witching hour, the figure emerged from the shadows, a twisted visage of darkness and despair, its eyes burning with a hunger that could never be sated. With silent footsteps, it prowled the corridors of the farmhouse, its presence a palpable presence that sent shivers down the spines of those who dared to cross its path. One by one, the members of the unsuspecting family fell prey to the creature's insatiable appetite, their screams echoing through the night as they were dragged into the abyss of darkness from which there could be no escape. But amidst the chaos and carnage, one soul remained untouched. A young boy, the youngest member of the family, whose innocence served as a shield against the horrors that surrounded him. Alone and afraid, the boy sought refuge in the labyrinthine corridors of the farmhouse, his heart pounding in his chest as he raced to evade the clutches of the creature that stalked him from the shadows. With each passing moment, the boy's fear grew, his mind awash with images of unspeakable horror and despair. But deep within him, a spark of courage flickered. a determination to survive against all odds, no matter the cost. And so, with trembling hands and a prayer on his lips, the boy faced the darkness head-on, his eyes blazing with a defiant resolve that defied the very essence of fear itself. In the end, it was not the darkness that triumphed, but the light within the boy's soul, a beacon of hope that banished the shadows and heralded the dawn of a new day. For in the heart of darkness, where nightmares reign supreme, it is often the smallest glimmer of light that shines the brightest, illuminating the path to salvation for those who dare to believe in the power of courage and resilience. In the depths of the sprawling metropolis where the neon lights flickered and the streets teemed with life, our chilling narrative unfolds. It was a night like any other, with the city pulsating with the rhythmic heartbeat of its denizens, a cacophony of sound and motion that masked the darkness lurking in its shadows. Amidst the hustle and bustle of urban life, a young girl found herself alone in her apartment, a solitary figure amidst the towering skyscrapers that loomed outside her window. Her parents, called away on urgent business, had left her in the care of her elderly neighbor, a kindly soul whose frailty belied a keen intellect and unwavering sense of duty. But as the night wore on and the city slumbered, a sinister presence stirred in the darkness, an entity fueled by malice and driven by a hunger for innocent souls. At first, the girl dismissed the strange noises echoing through the apartment, the creak of floorboards, the whisper of curtains being drawn, the faint rustle of movement in the shadows. But as the night wore on and the noises grew louder, her unease turned to fear, and fear to terror. Alone and defenseless, the girl sought refuge in the safety of her room, her heart pounding in her chest as she barricaded the door and prayed for dawn to break. But the darkness was relentless, its tendrils creeping ever closer as it sought to claim its prize. With each passing moment, the girl's fear grew, until it threatened to consume her entirely. And then, just as all hope seemed lost, a flicker of light pierced the darkness, a beacon of salvation in the form of her elderly neighbor, who had sensed the girl's distress and rushed to her aid. With a courage born of a lifetime of hardship and adversity, the neighbor confronted the malevolent force that had invaded their home, a battle between light and darkness that raged with a fury that shook the very foundations of the building. In the end, it was not brute strength or cunning that emerged victorious, but the power of love and compassion, a force more potent than any darkness could hope to withstand. As dawn broke over the city skyline, casting its golden light upon the streets below, the girl and her neighbor stood side by side, battered but unbroken, their bond forged in the crucible of adversity. For in the heart of darkness, where nightmares lurk and fear reigns supreme, it is often the smallest acts of kindness and bravery that shine the brightest, illuminating the path to redemption for those who dare to believe in the power of hope and resilience. In the sleepy suburbs where rows of identical houses stood in silent vigil, our tale takes root. It was a night like any other, with the moon casting its gentle glow upon the neatly manicured lawns and the stars twinkling in the clear night sky. In one of these houses, a young boy named Ethan found himself home alone for the first time. His parents, called away on an unexpected business trip, had left him with strict instructions to stay indoors and lock the doors until their return. But as darkness descended and the quiet of the night settled over the neighborhood, Ethan's sense of isolation grew, his imagination running wild with visions of ghosts and ghouls lurking in the shadows. Desperate for distraction, Ethan turned to his favorite pastime, playing video games. But as he immersed himself in the virtual world of his console, he couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, a sensation that sent a shiver down his spine and raised the hairs on the back of his neck. With a trembling hand, Ethan reached for the TV remote, intending to drown out his fears with the comforting glow of the screen. But as he pressed the power button, the lights flickered and died, plunging the room into darkness. Heart pounding, Ethan fumbled for his phone, the soft glow of its screen offering a sliver of comfort in the oppressive blackness. But as he dialed his parents' number, a voice whispered from the darkness, a voice that sent a chill down Ethan's spine and froze him in place. It claimed to be a lost soul, trapped between worlds and seeking refuge in the warmth of the living. At first, Ethan dismissed it as a prank, a figment of his overactive imagination brought on by the solitude of the night. But as the voice grew louder and more insistent, Ethan's resolve began to waver, his rational mind clouded by fear and uncertainty. With each passing moment, the voice seemed to draw closer, its presence a tangible presence that filled the room with an oppressive weight. Terrified and alone, Ethan sought refuge in his room, the sanctity of his bed offering a fleeting sense of safety in the face of an unseen menace. But as he huddled beneath the covers, the voice grew louder, its words a chilling cacophony that echoed through the darkness. And then, just as all hope seemed lost, a faint light appeared at the window, a beacon of salvation in the form of Ethan's neighbor, who had sensed his distress and come to his aid. With a courage born of compassion, the neighbor confronted the malevolent force that had invaded Ethan's home, a battle between light and darkness that raged with a fury that shook the very foundations of the house. In the end, it was not brute strength or cunning that emerged victorious, but the power of friendship and solidarity, a force more potent than any darkness could hope to withstand. As dawn broke over the suburban landscape, casting its golden light upon the quiet streets below, Ethan and his neighbor stood side by side, their bond forged in the crucible of adversity. For in the heart of darkness, where nightmares lurk and fear reigns supreme, it is often the smallest acts of kindness and bravery that shine the brightest, illuminating the path to redemption for those who dare to believe in the power of hope and resilience.